Okay, thank you for joining us for the Cannabis Connection weekly webinar series. I am your host, Jamie Cooper. I am also the CEO and founder of Cannabis Connection. Today, I am joined live with Aaron Lumley and Heidi Grishel of Ingrid Communications. They are Cannabis Connection founding members. Today, we are talking about how to hone in on your top 3 messages. Aaron, Heidi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm sorry to jump in for a quickie. We are Ingrid Marketing.
What did I say?
Ingrid Communications.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Ingrid Marketing. But today, that's exactly what we are talking about is marketing.
And communications.
And communications, 2 very important elements of a business, especially a cannabis business. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what brought you into the cannabis industry.
Sure. And Heidi, how about if I start? Because I'm next.
That's right.
So my name is Erin Lumley, and I am a partner at Ingrid Marketing. I have about 20 years of consumer and technology public relations experience, and the last 3 years we've been doing that in the cannabis industry. And it's been a lot of fun and very exciting, and we've worked with some great companies out there. And so, yeah, I love working with the media and working on messaging, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
And I am a veteran of the PR industry. I have been working in public relations since the 1970s. And I have touched every new emerging market in many different ways. And exaggerating when I say every, but many different markets, from early technology, early film and video, and consumer electronics. And I love new emerging marketplaces. I love getting the word out about new companies. And cannabis has also been something that I have been a proponent of for many decades. And it's really wonderful to be able to step up, work with my partners at Ingrid Marketing, and help our clients build their reputations.
And I'm sure, both of you guys, ladies, have seen how everything has changed in the form of like mainstream media. Even just, I've been in the industry for 4 years and seeing how much news now is generated on the cannabis industry compared to what it was 4 years ago or 10 years ago. Like, it's like night and day.
That's correct. That
Yeah.
is so right.
We're seeing like the larger publications like Reuters and Associated Press, they're starting to have these cannabis beats now. And so, even I work with USA Today, and it's really interesting because these reporters have to cover this beat, but they don't necessarily partake. And so they don't really understand like the differences and all of that. So when we're working with the media, it's a lot of the education process as well.
Right. I bet you turn some of these media members into advocates themselves. I've seen that happen quite a few times. Like, where it's like one story and then it was another story and then all of a sudden it was like they were doing more and more and more.
Yeah, they're showing up at events. We just got to hang out with Alex at The Guardian and, got to get to know him. And yeah, it usually starts with microdosing and edibles. That's kind of how they dip their toes into it.
Right.
And what I was going to add to that is that often we hear questions about sleep, or can I give that to my mom because her arm hurts, or arthritis, or my dad because he's experiencing unpleasant side effects from cancer drugs, or on and on and on. There are a lot of questions. And then there are, of course, the recreational questions.
Right. Well, and I definitely think your jobs as PR experts and then the journalists, I mean, they're very 2 important jobs because we are, again, communicating that message to the masses.
Yes, and at this time in the industry, communication is essential for education, for information dissemination, and for helping the industry normalize what this cannabis plant is and can do for humanity and our particular culture here in America.
Right. Well, let's get into the beef of our webinar today. So what is messaging?
Right. So everybody's heard about it. Everybody knows that they need it, but they're not really quite sure how to get there. So basically, messaging is how you explain your company to the public. And it's what you want people to know about your company when they walk away from that conversation. So, this is kind of like your first impressions. If you're not doing messaging right, it's missed opportunity to sell. And you're wasting time if you're not doing it right. And then we've also got some great examples of what bad messaging looks like in here. So you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. And it's an old saying, but it's a true saying. And so you want to make sure that the way that you're talking about your business and your company and your employees is spot on, because when you're talking to new people or investors or potential, clients and sales, you want to make sure that you are telling a very clear, succinct message to make sure that people really understand what your business does.
Well, basically, when you think about it, all of us are reading so much, and there's so much information coming to us that it's hard to digest it all. And when you're creating your messages for your company, you need to keep in mind that there are numerous audiences for whom you are targeting. So you need to be able to say, can someone understand this? And as Aaron alluded to earlier, many of the reporters are not deeply knowledgeable yet. They are still learning about this space. And, imagine if you were getting 500 emails a day telling you, look at my new vape pen, look at my new software. I have a new type of flower. I have a new dispensary, and magnify that by, hundreds. And many journalists are really overwhelmed. So you want to be very succinct in what you say to them so they remember what you're talking about.
I have a little story. As you ladies know, I'm a former television news producer. And in television, the producers are the ones that are deciding what the stories are and how it's presented. And I got so many emails every single day. But the one thing that always got guaranteed time on air are those people that pretty much did my job for me, meaning like those that could write the intro to my story and, provide the questions for my anchors, because that just took a good, 5 minutes of an hour newscast I had to fill off of my lap. And so, that's a lesson that I learned, because it helps. I was once in that position.
That's so true. That is so true. And you were bombarded with information. So what stuck in your mind?
Right. It was usually those that were, hey, how can I help you? Like, how can I help you make this story easy for you, or make it more engaging to your audience, to the viewers?
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to run through some, just some bullets here about what really we think clear and concise business messaging can really do for a company. And even this can be, extrapolated into an individual if you're a spokesperson or want to be thought of as a thought leader. All of these guidelines can be implemented into your world. You don't just have to be a cannabis product producer or a storefront. So obviously, when you have messages, you want people to understand what you're talking about. You're in charge of that. Don't let them put your story into their mouths. You really want to make sure that they understand who you are and how you work. You want your everyone in your coworkers, everyone in your team to have trust in you. So what you say to them, how you articulate your messages, how clear you are, reflects on everything that you do in your business. And they will also, as you can see here, your team will really be much more self-confident because they'll take your lead. They'll know what to say, and everyone will also stay on message, meaning that they'll tell the same story if you guide them correctly.
Yeah, not a lot of people look at their sales team as an extension of their company, or their brand ambassadors that are events, you know, and you really want to make sure that they are on message and that they're saying the same thing to everybody consistently. So you don't want a sales guy to talk about the business one way and then a brand ambassador to talk about the business another way, and then people are walking away being confused and being like, wait, you know, what's the priority here? So having you know, having the messaging where, you know, everybody involved in your business understands it and knows it and is using it is super beneficial.
Right.
Exactly, and tying it always back to simplify and keep it digestible. Oftentimes thinking if you were trying to describe what you're doing to your grandmother. And therefore you can keep the audience's interest, which is my last point, number 5 there. When you're talking in real language, people get it. You know, stay away from acronyms, stay away from deep technical stuff unless you're talking to an audience that's extremely technical.
So, you know, the benefit of clear and concise messaging is it also helps you clarify ideas to yourself, right? A lot of people that we work with, they're like, I know, but I don't know how to say it. Or, you know, I kind of know, but I'm not sure what it looks like on paper. So when you start writing down your messaging, it clarifies ideas to yourself. And like we said before, it creates a more knowledgeable workplace, right? You want everybody on the same page, singing from the same song sheet. And then also saves time and maximizes efficiency. Like if everybody says the same thing, it's not like you have to do training again. Actually, and training becomes easier because you know what you're going to be training your employees and your staff on as well. And then once again, this helps maintain company focus. If you're having a consistent message, everybody has the same focus with that.
And oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but they also, with this company focus, they know where they're heading. They know what they're striving for.
Right. And then once you have your messaging, when you start getting feedback from your potential buyers, you know, investors and all of that, it also kind of helps you figure out like where your weaknesses are. So maybe your one of your messages is that our product is environmentally safe. That may not be resonating. And so once you have that messaging down, you can kind of see where like the holes are, and then, you know, and make sure it's resonating with the audience. So having messaging is very important.
Now we're going to have some fun here talking about how many a company has produced some very poor, bad messaging that can be offensive. It can also be confusing. It can be misleading. So, you know, when we're talking about costuming, Walmart sure made a blunder when they talked about fat girl costumes and, you know, tried to get that as a funny joke. And in today's era of being very respectful, it's not appropriate. So that was a bad decision using bad messaging.
And not only that, but kind of a key takeaway with this one is bad messaging can get you bad press.
So, and not all press is good press, even though we do believe in getting a lot of press.
Yeah, I mean, saying that, hey, we sell fat girl costumes, not cool. Not cool at all.
No, that's pretty bad.
Reflects very badly, and also in today's modern world, we want people to be engaged with our brand or whatever brand you have. So it's off-putting, and so you will lose customers and people talk.
So the second example that we have with bad messaging. So basically, Apple forced the download of the U2 record.
I remember that.
Right? So the thing is I mean, it's, you know, half the people were like, it's free, who cares? And the other half were like, don't make me have stuff on my personal device that I didn't choose to. And it got some bad press, and it really leaves a bad impression. So you never want to force your customers, you know, to do stuff. So this is kind of a good example of like, you know, even though it was probably came from good intentions, you know, YouTube was like, yeah, let's give everybody a free copy. This is great. You also have to, you know, be cognizant that a lot of people take their devices, they're an extension of themselves, and you don't want to force information on people.
Well, yeah, and some people kind of like force in a way like, oh, you want this information, you have to download our app.
That's right.
And it does. I can see how that can be a negative thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, moving on to something that's extremely offensive, which is where Bloomingdale's suggested that, this date rape environment was okay. And certainly their public, their demographic, which is probably young women or women in general, don't take kindly to this. And that really hit their brand hard on the social channels and really, again, reflected very poorly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they thought it was funny. I mean, when you're using humor with mass public, you have to be very, very careful, and this is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Very sensitive, you must be.
Yeah. So, we're talking about the importance of messaging. We're talking about how to get your messaging. And, also know that there is bad messaging out there. So we wanted to give you some examples for that.
And from good brands also, which is very fascinating.
Massive brands with massive budgets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who could do a lot of research into their market, what their markets want, what they talk about, how they think. And,
Yeah.
who knows if they did that this time or not, or how they did that this time or not.
So we want to talk about messaging essentials. Once again, I know a lot of people out there are like, great, I know I need it. How do I do it? So when you're talking about your business, when you're talking about your services, when you're talking about your products, you really want to think about what your key differentiators are. And so if you look at a vape pen, right? They have a battery and a cartridge. All vape pens have a battery and a cartridge. So what's really going to set your vape pen apart from everybody else's? So, is it the style? Is it the materials that you're using? Is it the partnerships? Maybe you're partnering with, boutique farmers throughout California that nobody else is. So think about what's really setting your business apart from your competition.
And this, I think would be important to talk to those around you or new people about what you're trying, that message, that differential, because like sometimes we have this great idea in our head and we think it's the best thing ever. And, and we kind of keep it hidden before we get out there and start sharing it, but I think it's important that you do ask for that feedback. So, it's like, you know that you are setting yourself apart from the others, because in your idea, in your mind, you think it's great, but in other minds, devil's advocate can come out and ask the right questions to make you go, oh, I didn't think about that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have information in this presentation that covers that, because you're right, Jamie, it's so important. You cannot do messaging in a bubble.
Right.
or it'll just be your own bubble and nobody will join your bubble.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's some examples of key differentiators. Market responsiveness, like you were talking about, Jamie. Look at your product or your service and what's superior about it. Production efficiency, maybe your vapes are cheaper because your production line is top of the line and you're saving your customers money. Also look at like natural or human resources, right? Like, do you have a team that's setting you apart? Do you have people in your agency? Do you have VC investors that's helping you set up, apart from the competition? So these are kind of things that you want to like kind of take into consideration when you're doing your messaging. And there's more. So like we were talking about, before, maybe you have a different method of sale. Maybe you have a different distribution method. Maybe you've hooked up with Ease delivery system or Meadow, and you're able to, get in front of other people or more people than your competition. And then the technology. Also take a look at the technology and see if you're doing anything special there that's going to set you apart.
Yeah, very good. Also, one other thing that we didn't add there, do you have any other type of people on your team that have been very successful in the past or are an expert at a specific research or product development or something along those lines. That's a real differentiator also.
Well, like Acreage Holdings is a great example of them, and them having John Boehner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like that was their differential. Like, look at who we have, this guy that used to be in opposition of cannabis and now is supportive of it and on our team.
Yep, exactly. Well done, well done. All right, so how do you message to, here's some of the essentials. Continue with the essentials. You have to message to a specific audience, and I know we alluded to that earlier. Are you talking to women? Are you talking to men? Are you talking to men and women who are 18 to 26? Are you talking to women and men who are 65 and older? Everyone is different. Who you're selling to will determine what you're saying, what is their interest, why are they wanting to learn about what you offer, why would they even consider learning anything about what you've got to offer. You have to make your messaging compelling. We've got some examples here of different types of what we and the industry call demographics. Are you talking to dispensary owners? Are you talking to the sports and wellness and health teams, women, as I said earlier, farmers and operators? These are all different types of audiences that you want to message to. So let's think about this. I know I've talked a little bit about this and we've reviewed some of this with Erin and Jamie, but go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying this next couple of slides is a great exercise and we're taking you along on our journey.
Right, so these are questions you can ask, to yourself, but this is, or if you're looking to figure out your own messaging, but here are some of the things that we'd love you to look and see who would resonate with each message, which audience that we propose would resonate with each audience. I'm looking for a better alternative than alcohol to relax after a hectic day. What kind of audience would that be? Health and wellness? Maybe not. I want to, looking for technology that can bring me more customers in the door. I'm looking at for products that are healthy, that I can manage my dosing and I know exactly what I'm getting. Or I'm looking to be more cost efficient and be able to find ways to cut business costs, or even if you're a customer, to cut your expenses. Right on, females and moms have different needs. So they're definitely looking for low dose, microdose, things that are alternatives to alcohol. So they're the ones who would want that message, would resonate with that message for your product. A dispensary owner certainly wants to look at technology that will help them be more efficient. They also want to understand what their customers want and need and are asking for.
And if you refer back to the key differentiators, once again, we talked about how technology is a great way to help set your company apart.
People who are focused on health, they will be resonating with more dosage control. They'll be looking for specifics on what a product or a strain can do for them. So you definitely need to speak to them, to give them something to resonate with that will say, hey, this will help me. Growers are a very unique brand of human being, and praise them all for taking the step to be our growers, because without them, there would be no industry. So the farmers obviously are more unique in many ways. They're reclusive, they're cautious. So talking to them is a challenge. So your messaging really needs to help them understand how it's going to help their business, how it will help build their brand. Obviously, they need to be very fiscally efficient so that they can actually make a profit in this industry in the future. And so all of those types of words and ideas are what they will want to hear.
Yeah, so, we kind of gave you 4 different audiences, moms, dispensary owners, farmers, sports and health. They're all going to have different messages. So this kind of will, you were reading these messages that we put forward and you're like, oh, okay, well, obviously I'm looking for, a healthy alternative than a bottle of wine to relax after a hectic day isn't necessarily going to resonate with growers, right? So growers are like, I'm looking for products or services that are going to help me, cut costs and save time. Like, I'm a business here. So when you're creating your own messaging, you really want to make sure, that you have your audiences identified. Because like we said, if you're doing your messaging wrong, you're inefficient, you're wasting time. So.
And you're wasting other people's time.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So how do you create your messaging? Like we said, figure out who you're selling to. This is number 1. Who is your audience? Who is going to walk into a store or pick your product on a delivery service and use it? And with that, how do you determine your audience, right? So, Jamie, like you said, don't live in a bubble. There's a bunch of things that you can do that, and we're recommending here. So you can do a survey. You can conduct focus groups. Ask your friends and family, right? You trust them. They're going to tell you. Also ask them where they shop, because, if you're selling to moms, ask your mom where she's going to go to get our products. You can find online forums, Facebook groups, and connect that way. A lot of people don't do this, and they should, but research your competitors. What are your competitors doing? Where is their name popping up? Who have they partnered with? And then also, I think generally anybody in the business should be doing this, but you should keep on top of industry buzz. And you can do this by setting up Google alerts, reading the newspaper, reading all the newsletters that are out there. But yeah, kind of keep your finger on the pulse with that, so you know what's going on. And then, like I said, if your competitor shows up, in a newsletter, you're like, hey, how do they do that? And how can I do that? So here's kind of an outline that we wanted to give you. So when you're talking about your business, you want to say your product, your business is for, and then who's your target customer, who are dissatisfied with what solution are you solving? What is your company doing to solve the issue, right? Like we're using the vape pen example, so my company is for people who are looking to have vape pens, who are dissatisfied with the current vape pen market. Our product is, talk about your product, and then that provides what's the solution that you're solving, environmental friendly batteries or whatever it is. And then and then here's where you don't name your competition, but you can say, unlike my competition who has high priced vape pens that aren't recyclable, whatever it's going to be. And then what does your product offer? So here's kind of like, 6 things to think about, and you can kind of like fill in the blanks to kind of start developing your messaging. Surveys are awesome. The shorter, the better. Please, no more than like 5 questions. And we just wanted to give you guys some tools that you can look into if you need to do surveys as well.
Yep. Now we're going to get to some fun stuff about what good messaging is and how it's so powerful. We worked with a company called Soulful, which is a dispensary that opened up last fall in Sebastopol. And they were very focused on how they're going to be a really strong part of the community that they're in. And Sebastopol is a small community in Sonoma County, which is north of San Francisco. So, their message about the dispensary focusing on the highest quality products and educating the community, it just ties into everything that we've been saying through this whole webinar of what one needs to do for the industry. And they're very clear that that was their mission.
And we did a lot of research for them. We did a lot of industry and competitor research for them. And there was only one other competitor in the market at the time. And they were really, one, they were the first. So they didn't really need to have like super clear messaging. But it was sort of like this patient, right? Like, hey, we're the only one around your area. If you need to get cannabis products, come to us. And Soulful, like Heidi said, was very, very focused on community and education for everybody. And then also they really wanted to make sure that they were providing the highest quality products. So they met with every farmer, they met with every topicals company. So they also put a lot of time into this. But when we kind of walked away from them and after our research, we realized the two things that we wanted people to walk away from was highest quality products and community involvement. Which
basically poked holes into their competitors' messaging, which didn't talk about that at all. It was just really come buy cannabis, really. So it's very interesting. And then for those who may or may not be familiar with Leafly, they really are the largest cannabis website in the world. And they are drawing to themselves amazing people. And the way they've done this is they have incredible product and incredible applications that people use. So hence, their statement that Leafly is the largest cannabis website in the world with over 10 million monthly visitors and 40 million page views across its website and mobile applications. So they're showing market penetration, they're showing market dominance, they're showing knowledge. So one more wonderful bit of messaging for another dispensary that's based in San Francisco. The vision for the owner of this dispensary was to create a store that regular older adults and normal family people, business people, any type of normal person could walk in, not feel like they were going to some place that was counterculture or uncomfortable. So he created a beautiful storefront environment where you could actually touch product. When he first did that, regulations were that you could touch product.
Yeah.
That has changed.
Yep. This is one of the first dispensaries in San Francisco where you weren't walking in through like gates.
Right.
You didn't have like a ton of like really huge, big security people following you throughout the store. It's boutique. It was light. It was open. You could touch the product. You could ask stupid questions. It really kind of, there was no plexiglass. It really was one of the first dispensaries in San Francisco that broke down the typical stigmas that, we battle every day in the cannabis industry. They did a phenomenal job and their stores are beautiful. It's a place where you feel safe and you want to spend time in. So, and they got that through their product, their services, the design, and through their messaging.
And their targeting of demographics, right? And the right people. They didn't message to the kids that are 20 years old, for instance, or 21. They messaged to older adults. They empowered themselves and they empowered their audience. And I'm not going to read it for you. You can read it yourself. I'm not sure I hope you already have. But it is quite good. And it really does articulate exactly who they are.
Okay. So we've given you a lot of information. The number one thing is don't feel that you have to create your messaging and then you're done. So your messaging should be organic. As your company grows, your messaging should change. As maybe you introduce a new product, you're going to need messaging for that. Maybe you get acquired, maybe you partner with somebody. So you should always be reviewing your messaging and making sure that it's still resonating with your audience, that everybody in your company is familiar with it and is on board and agrees with it. But yeah, kind of number one rule here, don't feel like, yay, I did my messaging, and then just ignore it for 5 years, because that's not how messaging works. It gets stale and then it doesn't resonate anymore.
That's right.
So great, you got your messaging, kind of know the outline to put together, what to think about, who your audience is. How do you know it's working? A lot of people are like, I have no idea. So you want to ask yourself these questions. Like, is my messaging reflected clearly on my company site? Is it reflected in all company materials? Are my employees familiar with the messaging? Are they saying it correctly? And we do messaging sessions where we'll come in for like a half a day or a couple of hours. We'll run through the messaging, and then we literally have people like recite it back to us. We ask questions. We really make sure that the core team or the C-level team is very familiar and on point with their messaging. Is my messaging coming through print or, online publications? Interviews that you're doing. So, if you have an interview with a reporter and 2 days later the story comes out and you're like, wow, they didn't talk about my top three messages, then it's not working because you probably didn't tell the reporter enough. But it's a good way to know that, if it's resonating, if your messaging is working. And the same with broadcast interviews, right? So, if you're on camera, you need to make sure that you're telling the audience what your messaging is about your product, about your services, and all of that great stuff. So if the answer is no, then you want to hone in on your top three messages and then start practicing telling your company story.
People remember things in threes. So you'll consistently be seeing that we have recommended that over and over again. Keep your messages very simple, keep the language simple, easy to understand, and keep reviewing where you are, who you're talking to, and what you're saying to them.
Yeah, one company we partnered with basically had a technology that helps grow plants. It takes the sunlight out from outdoors and puts it indoors, which is a great way to explain a company. And when I was talking to him, he was like, oh, the hydroponics and the blah, blah, CO, and I was like, I don't think you're speaking English to me. So I'm like, so you basically take the sunlight outside and put it inside for indoor growing. And he goes, yeah. I go, didn't say that. So if you can kind of cut the jargon and all of that, then it helps get your message through.
Definitely. And, there are lots of tools online. You can look around and find templates, or you can engage companies like ours to help you with this. The best part of doing your messaging is it will help you grow your business. It will help you stay on track, and it'll attract the people you want to come and be your clients and customers.
Yeah, it's getting very, very crowded out there. So if you've got succinct, clear messaging that resonates with the people who you're selling to, you're going to be head and shoulders above the rest.
Right. I agree with that 100%.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yay! I love it. So I have a question. And by the way, those that are with us right now live, you can ask your questions. This is your opportunity to ask these lovely ladies some questions and advice with their expertise. But use the chat feature, or you can use the Q&A button on your screen and submit a question. Either way, we will get those questions answered. Also, it looks like you ladies have an email address right there on the screen. So if you think of questions later, look at the email address. If you want to go back and watch this, we will have it up on the Cannabis Connection website probably later this afternoon, this evening. And you have to be a free member on Cannabis Connection, but as soon as you sign up for your membership, then you will get access to the Cannabis Connection Learning Academy, where you will be able to access this video and watch it again. With messaging, it's easy for us when we are in a public event and we're networking, or if we're in a media interview, it might be easy for us to really get our message out there, but anxiety and nervousness kind of keep people from really communicating that message appropriately. So what kind of recommendations would you ladies give to businesses in preparing for those situations where all thoughts kind of go out the window when it's time for you to talk about you and your company?
Yeah, it's hard, right? And then depending on the type of business you have, you could have like 7 great messages. So like, which one do you talk about first? The short answer is practice. And it's kind of like, yeah, no kidding. But when you read something on paper, you're basically processing information differently than when you're actually physically saying the words. And so, you know, I have to call journalists every day. And so if I'm like flubbering around on the phone, like they're going to hang up on me. They're just going to be like, I don't have time for this. So I say it out loud. I say it out loud in the shower. I say it out loud when I'm washing dishes. I say it out loud when I'm walking around my house. I say it out loud when I'm taking my dog for a walk. I'm the girl talking to myself on the street. But the more and more I say it out loud, it's like muscle memory almost, right? It gets really easy. So, you know, people are like, oh, tell me about Ingrid Marketing. I'm like, oh, well, we're the, you know, premier Bay Area, you know, agency, and we've won 2 awards. We work with amazing clients and we get results. Like, you know, you kind of have like that messaging in the back of your head. So practice would be my recommendation.
Practice.
Out loud.
Different types of people, and you know, get your friends to give you a little bit of a hard time. You know, do some, you know, have somebody play the bad cop and you could be the good cop, etc.
Yeah, and in fact, I would encourage everybody watching this to attend some municipality meetings. You know, talking in 3-minute public comment really helped me a lot. And because you have 3 minutes to make an impact to these people that are making decisions whether to allow or not allow these facilities in their municipalities. And so, you know, it's always my goal is to make an impact and help sway them and help them understand and get that message across. And I felt like it was a very great thing to do to help me practice for delivering that message.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great thing to do too is like when you meet somebody or if you're at an event, ask what they do, because that's going to help you tailor your message instantly, right? So like we were talking about, you know, the health and sports people, the moms, the dispensary owners, the growers. So if you're talking to a grower, you're not going to talk about how your product helps you relax after, you know, a tough day of soccer practice, right? So if you've got your different kind of messages segmented out to your different audiences, once you identify who you're talking to, then you can give them those messages.
Very true.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
And I have one last little note, circling back to your competition. Read what their messages are. See how they grok with you, and then find ways to articulate what you do that can actually show the differentiation.
right, and talk to the people that are going to your competitors.
Yes, if you can, that's a great
Why
thing.
did you choose them instead of me? And you know, tailor that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's really it. And so we're happy to answer questions, and you know, feel free to send us email.
Okay, well, it looks like we don't have any questions. Erin, Heidi, thank you so much for your time today. It's always wonderful having you, ladies. And we do have a couple of topics coming up in the next couple of months, and I look forward to those as well.
Terrific. Thank you.
So much, Jamie. Really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. And again, sign up for your Cannabis Connection account. It's free and you can get access to all of our webinars. And starting the end of July, we are going to be launching networking chapters across the state of Michigan. We are looking at launching networking chapters in 10 different areas of the state and hosting monthly networking events across the state of Michigan. You know, it's time for our community to come together and start building these relationships and helping each other build businesses. So stay tuned for information on that. And we will be back next Tuesday. We are here every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Next Tuesday, we are talking to Vista Green LLC owner Ron Smalley about tips for winning a successful application or license in Michigan. So make sure you join us because that's going to be some very important information. And Heidi and Erin, thank you. And we look forward to having you on again. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.